In today's lesson, we're going to do some 4 operations practice. Initially, we're going to talk through a couple of examples of addition, subtraction, multiplication and division, and then you're going to do some yourselves. So let's begin by looking at the addition questions. If I wanted to work out 38 add 23, I'm going to start off by writing them as a column addition. I begin on the right hand side, and I do 8 add 3, which is 11, so I write the units, which is 1, underneath that, and I carry 1 over to the next column, which is how I represent the 11. Moving on to the next column, I have 3 add 2, which is 5, plus the extra 1 that I carried over, which gives me 6, and therefore my answer is 61. For the second example, I want to do exactly the same thing, so I have 195 added to 67. Notice how in this question I've aligned the 5 and the 7 together because they're both units. Essentially, because these decimal points would appear at the ends, I want to make sure they're aligned, and that's important for both adding and subtracting questions. I can also add a 0 in front of the 6 here just to make the question a little bit easier to work out. So as before, I'm going to start off with 5 add 7, which is 12. So I put the 2 underneath and carry the 1 over to the next column. I now have 9 add 6, which is 15, plus the extra 1 that I carried over gives me 16. So I write a 6 and carry the 1 over. In the last column, I've got 1 add 0, which is 1, plus the extra 1 I've carried over, which gives me 2. Therefore my answer is 262. So now let's have a look at the subtraction questions. I want to lay these out in a similar way to what I did the addition. So I've got 93 on top, subtract 47. Because the number on the top is smaller than the number on the bottom, I need to borrow. So I'm going to borrow from the 9, and that's going to become 8. This 3 is going to become 13. I can now work out 13 take away 7, which is 6. In my next column, I now have 8 take away 4, which is 4, giving me an answer of 46. Likewise, for the second question, I want to start off with 215 on the top. I can write 73 underneath. Notice again how the numbers are aligned to this right hand side. Again, next to the 7, I can put a 0 to make the question a little bit easier to work out. So I can start off 5 take away 3 would be 2. 1 subtract 7, I need to borrow, so my 2 becomes 1. And the 1 in the previous column becomes 11. I now have 11 take away 7, which is 4, and 1 take away 0, which is 1, meaning my answer is 142. To work out the multiplication questions, I'm going to start off writing it as if it was a column addition or subtraction. So 28 on the top, and 3 in line beneath the 8. I need to begin by timesing everything on this top row, so the 8 and the 2, by the 3 beneath it. So 3 times by 8 is 24. I'm going to write that the same way that I did for adding. So I'm going to put a 4 underneath and carry 2 over to the next column. I now need to work out 3 times by 2, which is 6, but again, add on the 2 that I've carried over, which gives me 8. That therefore means my answer is 84. Looking at the next multiplication question, it's a little bit more difficult because it's now a 2-digit number times another 2-digit number. I'm going to begin by writing 21 on the top and 41 underneath it, putting a times sign next to both of them. Initially, I'm going to start on the right hand side of the bottom row, and I'm going to times everything on the top row by 1. So 1 times 1 gives me 1, 1 times 2 gives me 2. Next, I'm going to move along to this 4. Now I need to recognise that that doesn't actually mean 4, it means 40, as in 41. So what I can do is add a 0 in my second row, and now multiply everything by 4, and what that's going to do is make my answer 10 times bigger. So 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, and they are my two answers. So now I need to add them together. 1 add 0 is 1, 2 add 4 is 6, and there's an 8 on its own, which gives us a final answer of 861. So now looking at the division questions. In order to do a division, I want to use my bus stop method. And as I'm dividing by 4, I'm going to put the number 4 on the outside and 104 on the inside, as that's the number I'm dividing into. Now, every number on this inside part of my bus stop needs to be divided by 4. So I start off with 1 divided by 4, which gives me 0 remainder 1. So on the top I put 0, and I carry the remainder onto the next number along. So now I have 10 divided by 4. 10 divided by 4 is 2 remainder 2. So again, I put 2 on the top and carry the remainder of 2 on, which means my last number is now 24. If I do 24 divided by 4, I get 6. And therefore my final answer, you can see at the top here, is 26. I want to do the same thing for my second example. So on the outside I want a 5, the number I'm dividing by, and on the inside I need to put 215. I begin by doing 2 divided by 5, which is 0 remainder 2. So on the top I put 0 and carry the remainder of 2 on. I now have 21 divided by 5, that is 4 remainder 1. So I put a 4 at the top and I carry 1 on. My last number is now 15, so I do 15 divided by 5, which is 3. Therefore my final answer, as you can see on the top, is 43. Just remember, for the times and divide questions, you can use a times table grid to help you get your answers. You should refrain from using a calculator other than to check your work. So your first task today is a bit of a warm-up of those 4 skills. You don't need to submit your answers of these to show my homework. There are 4 rows of questions, 1 for each operation. Each row has a bronze, a silver and gold question, where gold is the hardest. You should pause the video and have a go at either the bronze, silver or gold section for the adding, subtracting, times and divide question. Those of you who are really good might want to have a go at answering every single question on screen right now. Pause the video now, and once you've got your answers you can unpause to check. Here are the answers. Again, pause the video and check to see how you've got on. If you have made any mistakes, see if you can correct them before doing the final task. Your final task for today is to complete this 4 operations crossword. The questions are all on the left hand side for you to answer. For those of you with printing facilities, you can print this out and complete the cross number grid on the right hand side by filling in the answers you get. If you do not have the option to print, you can simply answer the questions that are on the left hand side directly into your maths book. Regardless, please make sure that your working out is present, because you're going to need it to get your answers. I do not expect to see a list of answers in your book. Again, please refrain from using a calculator other than to check your final answers. Once you have finished, please take a photo of all your working out and your answers and submit it to Show My Homework so I can see how you've got on with today's task. If you are struggling to complete some of the work from today's lesson, then please do not hesitate to get in touch via comment on Show My Homework. I'll try to make myself as available as possible and get a reply to you as quickly as I can. If the issue requires a little bit more input from myself, I might ask to arrange a time to meet on Teams where I can give you some personalised help with that specific problem.